everyone. In this video, we are going to go over how to compute a small stock dividend, how to complete the journal entry for a small stock dividend, and the effects on the balance sheet with a small stock dividend. Okay, so we've already gone over cash dividends. Let's talk about stock dividends. So a stock dividend, you are going to receive more stock. A cash dividend, you receive cash. If I have the choice as an investor, I always choose stock dividend. Okay, I would prefer a stock dividend because I'm getting more stock. Cash dividend, I'm taxed on that immediately. Okay, all right, so let's look at the particular problem we're looking at. Here's what it says. Hometown Bank Shares has 40,000 shares of $3 par value common stock outstanding. We've already talked about par value. Okay, we're going to do that same technique when we do that journal entry, so remember that. It tells us that the shares outstanding are 40,000. You want to get dividends, whether cash or a stock dividend, are always paid out of outstanding shares of stock. So how do you get outstanding shares? You're going to take issued shares minus treasury stock. Okay, so let's compute the small stock dividend first. We go over here, it's 40,000 shares outstanding. You're going to multiply that, I like decimals, so 5%, 0.05 equals 2,000 shares. That's not a dollar figure, right? Now we have to figure out the amount of dollars to make the journal entry. Okay, so here's what it tells you. So their market value of the stock is currently selling for $15 per share. That will be the amount you debit retained earnings for. So write that in your notes. Always, the market value of the stock is the amount you will take out of retained earnings. Remember, retained earnings is an equity account. If you're debiting that, you are subtracting from that account. Okay, so we go over, and so our first journal entry, I'm going to put up retained earnings. I'm going to figure out the amount of retained earnings. I'm going to take 2,000 shares times $15. Okay, so $15 times 2,000 shares gives me $30,000. Okay, so retained earnings is a debit for $30,000. Okay, now I go back to the problem. Same technique for regular common stock. I look in the problem, what is the par value? So the par value for the common stock is $3. Remember, the market value of the stock equals $15. Okay, so that's how we got the 30,000. So now we're going to credit common stock. But remember, always whatever par value is. Okay, so we take the 2,000 shares times the par value. The par value is $3. So our common stock is credited for $6,000. Okay? The difference always goes to additional paid-in capital. Let me call it the same as your textbook. All right, so they call it paid-in capital. Another textbook might call it additional paid-in capital, but your textbook calls it paid-in capital. And all that is going to be is the difference between the two. So 30,000 minus 6 gives you $24,000. Okay? So that's your journal entry for the small stock dividend. Next part of the question, what does it ask? It asks, what was the overall effect of the stock dividend on Hometown's total assets? Okay, so look at the entry. That's an equity account, right? That's an equity account. That's an equity account. So the overall effect on stockholders' equity, you would answer no, no effect. on assets. Okay, what's the effect on total liabilities? Well, we just said those are all equity accounts. So no effect on liabilities. All right, here's the question though. What's the effect on stockholders' equity? Well, you gotta understand a journal entry, right? So if I totaled up my debit over here, so let me go over here, make sure you can see this. If I totaled up my debit, that would be $30,000, right? If I totaled up my credit, that would also be $30,000. So the overall effect of these two, they cancel each other out, it's 0. Okay, so your answer is no effect on equity. But please make sure you understand that, because when test time comes up, the question might be asked differently. So make sure you're not just memorizing. Make sure you're understanding, okay? All right, get in the lab, get that problem done, and then you're good.